Hello, this is Fabian from Life-Sparring.com, and I'm here today to do a follow-up of the most popular video I've recorded so far. That was back in earlier this year, in January. I originally kind of filmed the unboxing video, and then I did a pretty lengthy review early February about the Withings body scan, the most expensive and also most comprehensive body fat scale slash body composition monitor slash connected health station, as they like to brand it, by Withings. And yeah, the video proved pretty popular. It's pretty detailed and long, and still more than 4,500 people have seen it in the meantime, and surprisingly many watched the whole video, which is very encouraging, because it simply signals me that there are other geeks out there that really like to go that detailed into a device like this and try to figure out what it can do and maybe also where the limits are. And that was the original video pretty much about. So I did a review and I tried to kind of figure out how accurate is especially the body composition part of the scale. And I did so by comparing it to a Dexa scan, which is pretty much seen as the gold standard for body composition measurement. And the disadvantage of a Dexa scan is that I just can't do it every day. It's pretty expensive. It's also, even though it's low radiation, it's still based on on the low radiation X-ray. Hence, it's also something you probably wouldn't want to do every day, even if you could afford it and would have the time to do it. So that left one question unanswered in the first review, and that is the accuracy of the scale over time. So I could show with this comparison that Withings underestimated my body fat percentage by 10%, which is massive, and which of course makes the absolute value measured pretty useless. But as we always say when we are looking at these devices, most important is the consistency of a device. So if you know it's off by 10%, if it always stays off by 10%, then it's very simple to calculate your actual value. You simply deduct 10% from the daily value that you measure. And that's what I always wanted to do. And now finally, like end of October, I got another Dexa scan. So now we have the two Dexa scans, one end of January, one in October, and we can compare how it compares to the development that the body scan measured. And that's what I want to do in this video. So if you haven't watched the first video, feel free to dig into this one. There I go also much more in detail into the different features. In this video, I focus on the update, try to answer a little bit the question of the consistency of the results. And then I probably go a little bit into the mobile app and show what has happened to the mobile app in between, because there were a lot of changes to the Withings HealthMate app, and that's maybe also interesting. But let's start with the big question that a lot of people want to get answered, and that is, what happens over time? Did my gap that I saw between the body scan and the Dexa scan widen, or is it consistent? So let's exactly do that. Okay, so before I go into the Dexa scan, I would like to show you a bit what happened over the past year to my body composition in general. So this is now data from the Withings HealthMate desktop app. And I chose this one because I just can scale it up better, and the timeline is a bit more useful. There are a lot of features. I mean, the desktop app in general is pretty messy and doesn't have many features. But that's not the topic here. So let's focus on what I would like to show here, and that's the development of my body weight over the year. So I started early in the year around 90 kg. That's around that time, between 20s, 29s. That was when I did the first Dexa scan, so pretty much at the height of my weight. straight after Christmas and Chinese New Year, all the festivities. And then I managed pretty much to get my weight down first relatively fast, and then a bit slowed down a bit, and got it down to around 80.x, 81 kg. And then I was taking a little bit the foot off the pedal. I also had a little bit issues with a few smaller sicknesses, mainly kind of colds and similar type kind of bronchitis a bit for a while. So struggled a little bit with this part. And but I was also focusing a bit more on muscle buildup. And I kept my weight then relatively stable in this range between 83 and 84 kg. And fat mass also stayed pretty stable. So I think that's the good part, is that based on the Withings data, I lost compared to right now about 5 kg. And the body composition, muscle mass kind of even went up a bit, and fat mass went down quite a lot, and then stayed pretty stable through the time. And that was basically the goal. So the goal for me was primarily to change my body composition. So of course I had to lose weight, but I wanted ideally to also gain muscle and not necessarily optimize my weight loss, but focus really on changing my overall body composition. And based on Withings data, that was pretty successful. However, as we know, body fat percentage was off by around 10% when we checked in January. And that's now kind of the interesting question, how this held up in the Dexa scan. So let's take a look at the Dexas. So here we go. Here we have both Dexas side by side. On the right hand side, partially covered by me, is the Dexa scan from January 27th of this year. On the left hand side is the Dexa scan from 24th of October of this year. Both done in the same institute, the Island Hospital, Penang, Malaysia. A very great destination if you want to do a health check for pretty cheap, and you can then add on top around $30 to do a Dexa. Very recommended. They have top-notch service, and I'm very happy doing my health checks there. Much easier than in Hong Kong, and especially much cheaper. So these are the two Dexa scans, and the beauty here is that the data checks out fairly well. So you see also significant difference between the two scans. And I think most significant, of course, total fat 22.9 kg versus 27.7, so almost a 5 kg different in fat. And lean mass now 60.56 kg, 60.9 kg in January. So lean mass almost completely stable. And that's great, because normally if you lose weight, usually you lose around 60 to 70% fat at best, and 30 to 40% is lean mass, because even your fat loss, of course, leads to water loss, etc. And there's a lot of lean tissue also inside of your fat tissue. So even if you are on a strict diet and you lose a lot of weight, you normally lose a lot of lean mass. And that simply means if my lean mass stayed stable and I lost really only fat, then this is kind of two processes happening at the same time. I lost weight, I lost fat, and then I gained muscle through my training regime. And that made up the difference, and that's why at the end lean mass is pretty much stable. So in bone mass there's pretty much no difference, and that also shouldn't be, right? I'm not gaining bone or anything, so this should be pretty stable. That's the two Dexas. Yeah, where did I lose the fat? That's also quite interesting. Pretty much everywhere, but in different degrees. And yeah, where is the biggest problem zone still? So I'm still at 27.5% body fat. And yeah, trunk, obviously, right? 32.6% trunk. And yeah, primarily trunk android. That's still the main issue, right? I still have my little pot belly, which is super hard kind of to get rid of, right? This yeah, that's the hard work that I have to do. So to reach my goal of around 20% body fat, I have to do it all again. So if I just repeat this exercise, if I get rid of another 5 kg of body fat, then I would be pretty much there where I want to be. So the good thing is I kind of know how to do it. So I just have to repeat what I've done earlier this year, and then hopefully have the same success. So looking at those graphs, I think it helps to understand what happens, but let's do it the geeky way and put everything in an Excel file, and then look a little bit more really granular where the differences are. And here you go. I think this is the way you like it. At least that's the feedback that I got from the first videos. So what I have done here is I have the data of the January Dexa in, I have the data of the October Dexa in, and then I have the difference between the two Dexas. And on the bottom, I have the data from the Withings body scan, 3 dates straight after I took the measurement in January to build an average, to kind of control a bit for spikes on the daily values. And then I repeated the exercise for October. Here I took 3 days, like the day before I flew to Malaysia, and then the first 2 days after I returned, and again kind of built an average to make sure that we are not comparing to a single spike. And yeah, that's the interesting part. So if we look into it in January, that's what we discussed, or what I showed in that previous video, that Withings had me at a body fat percentage of 20.78%, while I was based on the Dexa at 31.3%. So a gap of 10.5%. If we repeat now the exercise in October, take the average here, Withings believes I'm at 15.59% of body fat. That's of course still pretty ludicrous. And compared to the Dexa, it's a difference of 11.9%. So the gap widened by 1%, but yeah, I mean, there's always, of course, the travel time in between. It's not a one-on-one comparison because I couldn't do it on the same day, etc. So yeah, not so sure if this is really a significant change or increase in the gap. But I think what is pretty good is that overall the data are tracking fairly close. Like if you look at this, so Withings has me over that time from January to October losing 5.6 kg in total mass versus 5.1 from the Dexa. Fat mass down by 5.5 kg, 4.7 or 4.8 based on Dexa. And lean mass, Withings has me at 0.4 kg loss of lean mass, and yeah, that is pretty much consistent with also what the Dexa scan has. So I think that's the good thing, that is that the absolute values over time are pretty close. And yeah, I think this is the encouraging findings from this whole exercise, that overall the gap stayed fairly consistent and the absolute changes were tracked close to what the Dexa tracked. So yeah, pretty good results in that aspect. And that's of course I think information that like a lot of people who watched the first video really were waiting. At the end, yeah, so if the body scan is somewhat accurate over time, tracking the changes in your body, then of course the app and the device are useful to monitor your changes in body composition and to monitor the success of your diet, your training, etc. So yeah, I leave it at this. Of course, right? I mean, a Dexa scan is also not 100% accurate, etc. We all know this. We are working here with a bit of averaging. Yeah, it's not the perfect test setup, but I think it gives some good information. And yeah, I'm pretty happy that over time the absolute numbers were tracking fairly in the ballpark. So that being said, I think that concludes this section, and let's now call up the iPhone app and dig a little bit in how things look over there and how the app also changed over time. Okay, so as promised, I'm back and I pulled up the Withings app. So for those of you who were not only waiting for the update in terms of accuracy and the comparison to the new Dexa, yeah, happy to show you a few more things about the app and about the experience. As I said previously, there have been a lot of changes, and I think the obvious one is if you pull up the app, it looks very different than it looks early in the year. It got much more chattier. So I think, and I posted this one also on LinkedIn, on Twitter. I think Withings, they are trying to brand themselves really more as a holistic health brand, and they are trying to provide more actionable advice, and it's not just a pure data dump anymore in the phone app. It becomes really, yeah, I mean, to some extent it's almost a bit overwhelming, or for a data guy like me, a bit annoying, but yeah, I mean, that's the style that they're going for. So if you see it, I just open it. On the bottom, there are only 3 tabs now. Previously, there were 4. Now you have the home button, you have the measures, and then you have Achieve. And Achieve is kind of, yeah, their fitness programs, etc. And then, of course, on top, you have like the additional option, your account, etc., etc. So, but if you look into it here, this is how it looked today. Yeah, there's a mission at the moment. I should answer a sleep survey. There is some information around good sleep, etc. And this is because I opted into a test program where I'm, yeah, where Withings suggests me actions to improve my health in general. So then come the latest measurements, etc. And yeah, leaderboard, which I don't really use since I'm not sharing my data here with anybody. And then there is a bit of trend analysis, kind of like a streak analysis, how often I reach my step goal, weight trend, how many days I worked out, etc. Most important still, the measures. So yeah, here also there, it's like this overview on top, like which of the goals you are achieving and what are you actually tracking. So of course, I'm tracking here primarily the data that I get from the scale, and steps data is coming via Apple Health, but I'm not providing, average heart rate also comes from Apple Health. Sport is coming from Apple Health. So I'm importing basic data from Apple Health, but not all of the different action points. I mean, for some of them, you would also need additional Withings devices, like for heart. They would like to also track blood pressure, but for this, of course, you would have to buy a blood pressure monitor, which I don't have. Heart sounds, I'm not checking. Blood oxygen somehow doesn't import the data via Apple Health. I have blood oxygen data from Garmin and from the Oura Ring, but yeah, it's just not translating here. And I don't care too much, right? So, but yeah, you could kind of get more information in here. The more interesting things, as usual, are of course the data here that that we are actually tracking in the device. Wait, I showed you the view in the PC version, so this is kind of how my weight looked over the year. Came down quite drastically till May, then flattened out a bit, then even went up a bit, but primarily really because I focused a bit more on lifting and also didn't keep the calorie deficit anymore after the summer. Metabolic age, maybe not super interesting here, this stuff, but yeah, I mean, it's still, they added a few more features here. I think this one is much more detailed than it was originally when they started, or when I started using the app. The body composition part, of course, is still very interesting. So they still have the segmental body composition. And yeah, I didn't kind of go into detail here when I was comparing to the Dexa scan, but yeah, fat mass, of course, 18.3% body fat in the middle, that's more off by 20%. So this is what I explained last time also when we compared, so that it's the overall difference is between kind of 10, 11, 12%, but the main error comes in the trunk section. So yeah, that's where the app really gets me wrong, and yeah, where the algorithm for whatever reason just doesn't really capture my fatty midsection. Muscle mass, arms total 8.4 kg. That's in muscle mass, so this is not too far off, maybe slightly higher than what the Dexa scan has me. They have me at lean mass, yeah, slightly below 8 kg. Torso 35 kg. Yeah, that's the big gap, right? So 28 kg lean mass in the Dexa scan. So that's pretty way off. And then legs are again much closer. So even there we're off by 2 kg in lean mass. So I mean, of course, it's overall right off by 10%, but in the middle it's much more off. Yeah, that's the problem. And quite interestingly, I got recently asked by Withings to participate in a test, and they gave me different options to visualize the body composition over time. And I gave feedback that I definitely would prefer also like a timeline view, etc., because I think that would be really much more valuable also to see changes over time. So right now you get the snapshot, but there is no body composition over time graphic at the moment in the app, and that's of course super annoying, because if you're working out, then you want to see like how's your muscle mass, how's your lean mass changing in your arms, in your legs, in parts that you are training, and this is something, yeah, that's at the moment missing. But yeah, I see progress there, and yeah, it's definitely looking as if they're planning to do more. I mean, hence kind of this experiments there, and A/B testing and questionnaires, and yeah, let's stay tuned and see what is coming down the road in additional features. Then my values here: vascular age. Yeah, nothing super spectacular. Like over the year, it's just super flat, which also makes sense. I mean, I lost some weight, so I would not necessarily expect kind of a negative trend, even though, of course, I got older. But yeah, I mean, just no dramatic change, and I am somewhat normal for my age range, as it seems. Pulse wave velocity also like fairly stable, no real trend. If there's a slight trend downwards, which again would probably makes sense for somebody who lost significant amounts of weight, but yeah, I think it's nothing really super interesting. ECG overall is fine, right? I mean, on most days it looks like this. I have days where it says no clean ECG and then it shows kind of messy spikes, but yeah, I think I'm not really sure what triggers that. Maybe you just have to clean the scale a bit more often, or maybe it's sometimes I still have a bit wet feet from the shower if I step on the scale after shower. Not so sure, but yeah. Nerve health, also not really anything super interesting there. It's fairly stable and in pretty decent levels. Then this achieve part, yeah, this is the new part. This is where you can enjoy or enjoy, I don't know, but you can participate in programs that they run. So I have started this basic health improvement program that they offered, and yeah, it's always a combination, multiple weeks. I didn't really follow it because it started super annoying. It started at the beginning with, oh, let's be 20 minutes active or so, and I have my training plan. I work out, I lift twice per week. I run 2 to 3 times a week. I had some in the middle of the trail running season, so I'm doing my trail running races. So I didn't really kind of focus on this to follow the program here. Yeah, definitely not doing 20 minutes, 28 minutes of vinyasa yoga. Not so my thing. But yeah, I mean, you can, if you want to, you can kind of follow different programs here. And of course, there is this whole Withings Plus program that offers you much more. Here's a library, you have workouts, recipes, a lot of articles. So as I said, they're trying really to position Withings, I think, as a more holistic health platform. Of course, in the hope that you buy into the ecosystem, buy more devices. And yeah, for example, something like a blood pressure cuff might be really worth thinking about if this is something you struggle with. My blood pressure was always fine, so I don't think I need it. But yeah, for somebody who is sometimes on the higher end of the spectrum, or who gets sometimes during health checks weird readings there, maybe that's something worth considering. And yeah, it's of course easily integrated here. So this is pretty much what I can show you here. Yeah, some of the stuff is locked. Yeah, 6-week program to help you. I think this is exactly, so these are programs that you need to do the subscription with Withings Plus, which doesn't make too much sense for me personally. But if you are a beginner who needs much more guidance, then maybe it's not a bad idea. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much what I can show you here. Yeah, a lot of changes, nothing super relevant for me except for a few of the nicer graphics in the measure section. So I think this is really the only plus for me, that yeah, you get a bit more detailed visualizations, but other than that, you can zoom now much easier in the apps itself. So yeah, I think that's nice. But yeah, I think overall the app is not bad, but I'm sure it anyway will change a lot over the next few months and years. It's just obvious that Withings is pretty ambitious. They're building something new. Okay, I think that concludes the video today. Let me know, as usual, what you think about it, if you like it. I hope I was able to answer a few more questions from that the first videos left open, especially around the topic of data consistency and usefulness of the scale. I did not regret my purchase. I mean, I was, of course, at the beginning really annoyed that the scale was so far off the Dexa values for body fat. But yeah, I think at least it is somewhat consistent, which is good. And yeah, the other aspects of the scale, of course, are nice. And I still think the app is good and has a lot more potential. And I'm definitely curious to see how Withings is going to develop it further, because it's very obvious that they are quite ambitious there to bring their ecosystem forward. And yeah, I'm definitely staying updated and yeah, keep you updated too if something special happens here and I see new features that are interesting or new trends, then I'm pretty sure I will do another update. And with that being said, thanks for watching another video in this series. Thanks, of course, for subscribing and for likes and for sharing the video. That's always super appreciated. And yeah, let's see what's going to be the next video that I put out. Thank you very much.